Ladies and gentlemen, I am afraid that we are getting ready to go to war, and that the time remaining on the window of opportunity for preparing is rapidly closing right before our eyes. Overnight, our president, Mr. Joseph R. Biden Jr., has been scheming up his plan to further deplete this country and all of us of many of our precious resources, dig us deeper into the hole, into debt, and significantly weaken our defensive response and reduce the protection in terms of national security by deploying armed forces as we bring this fight home and engage on the ground. Israel, Hamas, Palestine, Ukraine, Russia, China, North Korea. This is it, folks. This is the preface to the novel, an Iliad, an epic and also tragic tale of how this once great nation will collapse and fall. The movie trailer to the most devastating horror film that produces the worst nightmares imaginable. And it is all too real. All the while silently and secretively draining us of all we have worked for and walking it right out of the back door. Peter Schiff. In case no one has noticed, the U.S. national debt has risen by $444 billion in the past 2 weeks. At that pace, the U.S. would be adding $11 trillion per year to the national debt. Something is clearly going wrong. A sovereign debt and a U.S. dollar crisis can't be too far away. All the while, we are steadily approaching this oil crisis as our strategic petroleum reserves are depleted. And I've seen how in the days since Hamas militants stormed into Israel early on October 7, a flood of videos and photos related to and showing the conflict have filled social media, making it difficult for onlookers from around the world to ignore what's happening and actually going on. This fight is brewing up a giant shitstorm, and there are massive alerts from governments to prepare for a long, dark, and cold winter. And while there's no shortage of, and there are plenty of real imagery and accounts of the ensuing carnage that is emerging daily, in addition to claims that a top Israeli commander had been kidnapped, being circulated, which included a video that appeared to replay a BBC News report and pushed the clips of Russian President Vladimir Putin that was subtitled in English closed caption. And more on that to come later. As for right now, I'm not going to say that I'm worried, but I will continue to prepare. And I hope you guys are doing the same, especially as China is actively beefing up their own world-ending arsenal of A-bomb artillery in true Oppenheimer fashion. Red alert reports by the U.S. Sun. China planning to double nuclear arsenal in just 6 years with enough nukes to destroy the world 10 times over. So what's the old saying? Come with a stick, I come with a club. Come with a club and I come with a knife or a sword. Come with a knife or a sword and I come with a gun. Come at me, bro, with guns and rifles and I'm coming back with the heavy artillery. Come at me with the heavy artillery and I come dropping bombs. Come with bombs and, well, you know the rest, right? I'm coming with the nukes. Game over. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Please hit that like button and subscribe. And if you would, allow me and grant me your permission so that I can show you what is happening and go over the latest and share with you some very important information. And I'm talking to those who are specifically looking for answers and solutions to the questions that they are asking the most right now. And that is, how can I get prepared? So let's just dive right in. Biden declares Israel and Ukraine support is vital for U.S. security. Will ask Congress for billions. A stark contrast from the one-time $700 check to the Hawaii fire victims in Lahaina and Maui, which opens up so many other tangents and unanswered questions like, how did the cars melt but the trees didn't burn? But I digress. Their president, Joe Biden, because honestly, I know he isn't my president. And I can almost certainly say without a shadow of a doubt that he isn't anyone's in this audience or who's watching this video right now, because we have way more sense than to vote for this crap, right? Biden declared that U.S. leadership holds the world together. Joe told Americans the country must deepen its support of Ukraine and Israel in the middle of two vastly different, unpredictable and bloody wars, and acknowledging that these conflicts can seem far away. Biden insisted in a rare Oval Office address that they remain vital for America's national safety as he prepared to ask Congress for billions of dollars in military assistance for both countries. Meanwhile, the most recent changes impacting Americans here include a drop in the 2024 cost of living adjustment, or the COLA, for Social Security recipients, the highest interest rates in historic record-setting levels led by Jerome Powell and the Fed, and increased insurance costs for healthcare, auto, and homeowners too. However, we can see where the nation's focus should be and where our priorities are, and they happen to be several thousands of miles away from here for wars we didn't start, but we must continue to fund to maintain. Biden continued to read from his cheat sheet note card saying, "History has taught us when terrorists don't pay a price for their terror, when dictators don't pay a price for their aggression, they cause more chaos and death and more destruction." And yeah, because we've seen how well sanctions work in time of conflict and war. And they keep going. And the cost and the threat to America and the world keeps rising, end quote. Now, I think the threat to America and the world is sitting in the Oval Office right now in Washington, and the most likely protector of this once great nation and the free world for that matter is sitting in a courtroom in Atlanta, Georgia. Go figure. Oh, the irony.
Fellow Americans, we're facing an inflection point in history. One of those moments where the decisions we make today are going to determine the future for decades to come. That's what I'd like to talk with you about tonight. You know, early this morning I returned from Israel. They tell me I'm the first American president to travel there during the war. I met with the Prime Minister and members of his cabinet. And most movingly, I met with Israelis who had personally lived through horrific horror of the attack by Hamas on the 7th of October. America is a beacon to the world. Still. Or as my friend Madeleine Albright said, the indispensable nation. Tonight, there are innocent people all over the world who hope because of us, who believe in a better life because of us, who are desperate not to be forgotten by us.
So basically, in a nutshell, Biden's speech conveyed a broad perspective on U.S. responsibilities overseas, particularly as he faces resistance in the U.S. for additional funding, and he is expected to request another $105 billion, which includes more on top of the already $60 billion for Ukraine to replenish U.S. weapons stockpiles. Additionally, there's $14 billion for Israel, $10 billion for humanitarian efforts, which have been unspecified, $14 billion for managing the U.S.-Mexico border and fighting fentanyl trafficking, and $7 billion for the Indo-Pacific region, which encompasses Taiwan. Biden also emphasized that this spending is a wise investment for American security and will create jobs for U.S. workers. He also highlighted the need for people in Israel and Palestinians to live in safety, dignity, and peace, while expressing concern about rising anti-Semitism and Islamophobia in the U.S. Biden also warned Iran's leaders, albeit softly and timidly, reaffirming that the U.S.'s commitment to holding them accountable for their actions is still his intent. Yeah, because that's what we need right now, accountability. I mean, talk about the pot calling the kettle black. In my opinion, we need a president who has a pair and isn't afraid to get his hands dirty to actually protect and propel this country rather than to weaken it and deplete it, further driving us backwards and deeper recessed, all in the name of Green New Deals and cutting checks to subsidize other countries' conflicts. Countries that can't help themselves, so how in the world can this even begin to build better U.S. security when they can't even stand up and fight for themselves and fight their own fight? How are they even going to attempt to come help and rescue America and provide support to fight alongside of us when they're using all the resources that we have? This is an ass-backwards approach. It makes no logical sense to me, but who knows? Maybe I'm looking at it all the wrong way, I guess. What do you guys think? Either way, Biden faces challenges, including political division in the House, where Republicans have not yet selected a new speaker, and Republican opposition exists to funding both Ukraine and Israel. And there are differing views within Biden's administration too, thankfully. It is about time that these folks woke up and got a clue. But the Senate plans to move quickly on Biden's proposal, noting there are disagreements on how to proceed, including the combining of assistance for Ukraine and Israel in the same legislation. It's funny how they always try to lump these proposals together and further push their money laundering agendas. And Biden's decision to include funding for the Indo-Pacific is a response to the potential for international conflicts, particularly in the context of U.S.-China relations. Don't get me started on that one. So look, folks, I'm going to give it to you straight. And I hope I'm not the only one that you're hearing this from, as I feel this is a natural self-preservation and logical approach to thinking about the current situations that are unfolding and also what is going to be happening in the future. Inflation, health costs, home prices, the basic cost of living in general, all among the nation's top problems. And it is unanimously obvious how Democrats hold edge on many issues, but more Americans agree with Republicans on economy, crime, immigration, the big issues plaguing this country and destroying us from the inside out. Wait, that was Biden's plan, right? To do this from the inside out? Workforce participation remains below pre-pandemic levels. And now we have 1.4 million fewer Americans working today compared to February of 2020. And food prices are expected to continue to rise through next year, 2024. We have to have a plan and prepare. And waiting until shit hits the fan won't cut it because, well, guess what? It's already hitting the fan and getting slung all around. Now, I know that you all have been working hard and diligently to be ready, and I don't want you to stop or let up or ease up off of your preparation. We are headed into uncharted territory, and the tunnel is very dark, but I do see a glimmer of light at the end. It will be up to us to make it through and to the end of the tunnel so that we can emerge and walk out the other side better and stronger than ever before. Thank you all for your time and for giving this video a thumbs up. Thank you for watching, and feel free to sign up for the free newsletter using the link below in the description. Be safe, be well, and God bless.